Well, next, the latest in our monthly Menkind series, looking at a wide variety of physical and mental topics. So far, we've looked at mental health, alcohol and fitness. And if you've missed any of those, there's lots of information on our website, including some great tips and contacts. Well, Jonathan has headed out of the studio for tonight's subject. And Jonathan, we've seen you in a barber's and in a pub. So where are you this evening?
Hi there, thanks Tanya. Yes, I'm at a quiet GP surgery like so many others right across the region. And tonight we're talking about cancer awareness, and chances are that if you are worried, your first point of contact will be your local GP. Now, with 200 types of cancer, it is the biggest killer of those under the age of 75 in the entire country. The most common types going across your screen right now. Now, in a moment, we're going to speak to one expert about it with the latest tips and advice. But first, here's one man's story.
I'm Roy Bullen. I am 72 years of age. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in May 2004. I was feeling unwell. I felt my body was not how it should be. I was getting up at night and going to the toilet a lot more. So I decided to go to my doctors. When I was told that I had the prostate cancer, all I wanted to do was get up and get out of that hospital. It really shocked me, really hit me. I just had it removed and the nurses were helping me all the way through. I was in the hospital for a fortnight, and on the day I was leaving, the nurse came back and told me that everything was clear. I believe you know your body, and you know when it's not right. So I have no problem, because I don't have this thing, oh well, it's only get old age, or oh, I'll put that off. No, I like to see what's happening in my body, because I want to live. So I do regularly get myself checked out, and that's the way it came about. I had no problem going. I can understand males feeling embarrassed with what might have to be done, which is not as bad as you think. It's so simple, and it's just something you've got to do. I've not looked back, I've just gone forward, which is what you have to do.
Well, great to hear Roy's story there and the importance of being checked out if you are concerned. Now, Dr. David Plume is a GP cancer and palliative care specialist. Thank you very much indeed for your time today, Doctor. And first of all, just on picking up on that point, how important is it to go along to your GP if you are concerned?
Well, cancer is remarkably common. If you're born after 1960, you've got a more than 50% chance of being diagnosed with cancer in your lifetime. So if you have symptoms, go along, see your GP, explain to them what you're worried about, explain you're worried about cancer. In most cases, it's not going to turn out to be cancer, but if you are then diagnosed with a cancer, then that cancer is going to be much earlier, much less likely to have spread, and you're much more likely to be able to be cured. I'm
reaching that age where I'm being invited along for screening. How important is that?
Screening is enormously important. I think women get used to being invited for screening. Men, we're not so good at going for our screening. We invent lots of excuses. But the reality is that it's hugely, hugely valuable. If we look at the once-only flexible sigmoidoscopy programme, being screened without just one screening test reduces your chances of having a colorectal cancer and dying from it 46%, which is really impressive. If we look at fecal occult blood testing, as my father-in-law calls it, playing poo sticks, not a great test at the moment, but it's going to change enormously over the next year or so as we evolve the test and we bring the ages down for the screening test.
And there is a new bowel screening test, isn't there, which could be a major game changer, I hear.
Absolutely. It's called the FIT test. It's a much more accurate test. It's a much easier test to administer. It's much easier for men and women to do. And it doesn't require you to eliminate certain foods from your diet. And it only requires one sample rather than 3 samples, which of course has got to be a winner. What's really exciting is we're starting to use it as a test in symptomatic patients as well. And in those patients, we have a less than 1% chance of missing a colorectal cancer if they're negative on this FIT test.
So give us your top 5 cancer awareness tips.
So the most important thing really is to attend for screening when you're offered it. No screening test is 100%, however, so if you do have symptoms, you should go and see your GP even if you've been screened. Stay healthy, keep the weight down, plenty of exercise, and we're really lucky in Norfolk to have lots of opportunity for exercise. If you have symptoms, go and see your GP or your practice nurse. And also, remember, early diagnosis really does make a difference. Don't just sit at home.
Dr. Bloom, thank you very much indeed for that. Well, we'll step back outside now to the waiting room where we can join our Menkind ambassador, Darren Eadie. Darren, it's lovely to see you again. It's obviously a very tricky subject for so many people, and it's touched your family recently.
Yeah, it has, and it's one of the reasons why I sort of got involved with the Norfolk County Council Menkind campaign was exactly for these reasons. My dad was at the dentist only a couple of months ago, having the normal checkup, and they found something on his tongue they weren't quite so sure about, so they sent it off to the doctors. Doctors found out it was some precancerous cells. He's been off to hospital, had an operation, part of his tongue cut away. But it was that early diagnosis. You know, if he hadn't gone to the dentist, if he hadn't taken the advice of the specialists around him, things could be a lot worse.
And once again, listening to your body.
It really is. It's listening to your body, and you know, we all get aches and pains at this sort of time in our lives, but it's about listening to those ones that go on and linger a little bit longer or unusual for your body. You know your body better than anybody does. So spotting those real early symptoms, and actually, you know, early diagnosis never hurts anybody. You know, with anything you're going to get better. You're never going to get worse with an early diagnosis.
Listening to your body, but also taking care of your body.
It is, yeah, and it's just the basic things: eating well, exercising, and just a general well health check. You know, you do to yourselves every now and again. So I think it's very important to make sure you go and see your GP. It costs you nothing. Go and see your GP and hopefully have a long and prosperous life.
Darren, thank you very much indeed for that. Well, Darren and I are going to head back to the studio now, Tanya, in readiness for our Facebook Live immediately after the programme with your guests as well.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan. Well, our Menkind social media reporter, Jack Reeve, is here, along with cancer consultant Christian Illier. Now, Christian, Jonathan talked a lot there about cancer awareness, but what can people do to actually avoid getting cancer in the first place?
It's very interesting that about 38%, so about 4 out of 10 cancers can be avoided if we'll be able to follow some simple rules. And one of them will be to try and avoid smoking. And I'm still amazed to see that 1 in 7 people in Norfolk are still smoking, because smoking is related to about 15 cancers. Another important thing is to try and stay fit. Staying fit means to eat healthy, 5 a day, try to avoid processed food. Also means not to be overweight or obese. Again, thinking about Norfolk, 2 out of 3 people are overweight or obese. It's also important to do physical activity. 1 in 5 in Norfolk will not do any physical activity, which obviously doesn't help. And another important aspect is to try and avoid alcohol, because that is also related to quite a few cancers.
All good advice there, but as Dr. Plume said earlier, if you were born after 1960, there's a 50-50 chance that you could get cancer. So are we making genuine progress in fighting cancer?
We're definitely making progress. I mean, the statistics is not in our favor with 50-50, but also another statistic says that we have a 50% probability of living more than 10 years after we've been diagnosed with cancer, which is really reassuring. So we're really making progress. 10-year survival after diagnosis is quite a landmark that we reached a couple of years ago.
So can you just tell us a little bit briefly about support groups and how that can help people?
Part of the recovery, it's also friends and family, as we call it, support, and it is about helping ones having the weekly shops or doing some heavy lifting, but it's also about emotional support. It's about being part of a team, part of a group, and understanding that getting through some difficult moments doesn't need to happen isolated or alone.
Absolutely, good advice. And Christian, I know you'll be coming back after the programme for the Facebook Live with Jonathan and Darren and Jack. So Jack, what can people get in touch with you about then?
Yeah, so this is the 4th edition of the Facebook Live in the Menkind series. I think the brilliant thing with the Facebook Live is we've got time to really discuss things. We've got expert advice. Darren Eadie will be here. We've chatted about things like mental health and smoking in previous ones. So the aim of it is for people to get in touch with either advice or stories themselves. We've already had some stories being sent in, so we'll be discussing them on the Facebook Live. But come and join us, facebook.com/ITV Anglia, and get involved with the chat.
Excellent. For now, both of you, thank you very much.